Hello, everybody. So the crash worsens. Absolutely brutal day in the market. Once again, a Fed-driven day. It's Mr. Market freaking out about the Fed, hence the title of this video, and Fed brutality. Actually, if you look at the data, it looks like we're on track for the worst month of November since 2008. And today's intraday volatility, the drop intraday today, is comparable to the worst day of Liberation Day in April. So you have, this is the second time we have a once-in-a-decade freakout in 2025. That's the second time. It's pretty wild. Frankly, I mean, the opportunity cost right now of, I'm not of like going out or anything like that. Like, I'm not spending anything this holiday season because the way I look at life, the opportunity cost right now of, say, a vacation or whatever is 3 times greater than it was a month ago or a month and a half ago. So I think, I don't expect a lot of spending this season. Right now, there's such deals out there. It's outstanding. It's like all of the top growth stocks, at least that I cover on the channel, are between 40 and 60% off. 40 and 60% off. Some of them up to 70% off. It's entirely ridiculous. The Fed brutality has no end in sight. It's blood for all. And as you know, in my view, this is going to be the case until May 2026 when we get a new Fed chair. I am done having any hope for the Fed. I have no hope for the Fed until May 2026. We need a new chair over there. Anyways, yesterday I was all excited. We were up everywhere. It was exciting. And of course, what happened? Well, at 11:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Labor Department made it even worse. And they said that the data for November and October would be released on December 16, i.e. 5 days after the Fed meeting where we would have a would-be rate cut. And that was in addition to releasing a few hours earlier the jobs report for September that was initially good. The job report showed good job growth in September, which means that in September they had no reason to cut, or they didn't want to cut because the jobs looked good, and so that means they would prioritize inflation. And we are not going to have any data for October or November. And of course, they decided to release that 5 days after the Fed meeting of December, right? So we're not catching a break. It's everything to hurt the market. Everything to hurt the market. The market is being held hostage by the Fed. This is why I call it Fed brutality. The interest rates are way too high. If we keep them this high, we are going to go into a full-on depression. Stock values are not going to recover. Real estate values are not going to recover. The government needs to be refinanced. It is all a bluff. We know the rates need to drop. And my guess is on May 26, they will drop a lot as soon as a hawkish Fed chair comes in. But it's all about saving face for the current chair. Let's face it, nobody wants a depression. We are never repaying back the old debts. The refinancing cycle will continue into infinity. We are not taking off 2 generations to pay off the debt and save the dollar. We're not doing that. That's why over time, they're going back to zero. The rates are going back to zero. But this bluff from the Fed has lasted far too long. We're almost at the 5th year worth of bluff, And that's why you get headlines like the epic drop of the S&P 500 when they said that they would release all of the data even for October, but that was not expected in December 16. Epic drop in the S&P 500. And then from Dear Watcher Guru here, great account on X, we get another, $1 trillion wiped out from the US stock market. Do you remember these headlines from April of last year? Well, we're going back for another such phase. And this is especially frustrating. Imagine if you're working for one of these elite companies like NVIDIA. Imagine if you're management at NVIDIA. NVIDIA reported an outstanding Q3. outstanding. I listened to the whole conference call. It was outstanding. And of course, the initial reaction was correct. Stock up 5%. But look, it just dropped in unison with the general market wipeout. And so it dropped 8% intraday. NVIDIA had an 8% swing to the downside only intraday. This is complete nonsense if you ask me for a stock that beat its expectation, beat its guidance, also guided upward. And, words like, oh, demand is through the roof, we're sold out, 75% gross margin. That call was outstanding. And the market just wants to sell everything right now because Fed bad, the stock's bad, growth bad. That's really what the market seems to be thinking about. And if you take a very slow growth company like Walmart, I'll point out that Walmart is trading at a forward PE of 36. NVIDIA is trading at a forward PE of 24. Yeah, Walmart's up 6%, right? Walmart is a safe haven. Walmart is not getting disrupted by Amazon anytime soon, right? There's no such thing as a threat from, Chinese companies, Temu, Shein, shipping straight to the United States, to Europe. These are not a threat. Like an old world grocery store is totally the future, isn't it? Not accelerated computing, not the future of intelligence, not the invention of a new electricity that NVIDIA did. Anyways, it's complete nonsense. This market is complete nonsense, and it is Fed brutality. It has to stop. And it will stop May 26 when we get a new Fed chair. I can't wait to figure out the name of this new Mr. Dove. Mr. Dove is going to be a chair at the Fed. Anyways, so we're dropping today. Nasdaq down another 2%. How many, 1.5 to 2% days back to back have we had so far? Quite a few. Like I said, S&P 500 is on track for the worst month since 2008. Stocks, stunning. Stocks lower in the stunning intraday reversal, a stunning intraday reversal like the which we have not seen since April. And April, believe me, was a stunning drop. You may remember my commentary in April. And of course, the market is spooked. Now we have Polymarket, the Fed watch tool. It actually dropped a little bit in after hours, but throughout the day, it was showing 76% chance of no cut. Think about that, 76% chance of no cut. I wanted also to share kind of the reasoning of the market. Somebody's talking about a company that excels. People here sell. Everybody starts selling. And this guy's annoyed with selling. He says goodbye. Somebody hears goodbye. Buy. Do you mean buy? And everybody starts buying again. This is literally the market right now. It's complete madness. It makes absolutely no sense. Stocks that do well sell off. Stocks that don't do well go up. It makes absolutely no sense. I want to point out about Tom Lee as well. A little shout out to Tom Lee. He makes me think of Sailor sometimes, this Tom Lee, because he's bullish. And I saw him on CNBC. He's bullish as ever. Like nothing phases this guy, kind of like a sailor. But he's down billions and billions of dollars. I think close to 5 billion or something on BMNR. And he's pointing out to manipulation in the crypto market. Of course, a lot of us have seen that and have been saying that. Crypto market is heavily manipulated. That is the thesis of Marty Party, right? But which I recommend on it. Marty Party music. I recommend you follow him and his liquidation levels. Anyways, look at Bitcoin. Oh, what an ugly. It's day after day. We just drop day after day. It's just ugly. It's as if every day is an opportunity for people to take money off of the market. And do what? Buy bonds? Like, come on. Like, do we really believe the money's not going to be debased? When people buy money market, like, do people really believe 4% is enough? Money's not going to be debased? No. This is absolute nonsense, if you ask me. Absolute nonsense. So MSTR today, well, you know what? MSTR is in the gutter. It's not doing well. But why is MSTR not doing well, right? Because Bitcoin's doing awful. Right, MSTR is going to be amplified Bitcoin. So MSTR to the downside, Bitcoin to the downside means MSTR to the downside. So MSTR is like 1.5x amplified Bitcoin. Kind of behaved in line today. MNAV still slightly, but ever so slightly compressing. But it's not surprising to see strategy down 5% when Bitcoin is down 3.5%. We're not going to get a pop in strategy, MSTR. We're not going to get a pop if we don't have a pop in IBIT. Love Sailor statement right there, because he's been through this many times. They'll say we got lucky. He tweeted that about 2 hours ago. I agree. If you made money in the markets, Don't let anybody tell you you're lucky. Remind yourself of days like this. Making money in the market is hard. It is not luck. Absolutely not luck. Consistently, right? I mean, you could be lucky once and then stop playing the game. But if you do it consistently, if you make money consistently in the market, it is not luck. It is hard work. Just the way it is, hard work. Unfortunately, stretch not rebounding, and that with odds of no cut in December being at like 74%. Unfortunately, sailors going to have to increase the stretch interest again, but that's good for the owners of stretch, right? So good for them. Let's talk about AI. So AI is real. If anything got confirmed in the NVIDIA call, in my view, is that AI is a real thing. The AI revolution is a real thing. And what do you see? You see stunning drops in data center stocks / former mining stocks. Stunning drops. Look at Nebius. Nebius is a good position of mine. I like Nebius. I think it's a great company. This stock entirely being dismissed. The market is forgetting about the enormous deal that they have had with Microsoft and that they've had with Meta. Entirely discounting it, entirely forgetting it, even though you can forecast something like their revenue 16xing or 15xing over the next 12 months, down 11%. Market doesn't care. But it's even worse. And this one, by the way, is down like 40% from the peak. But if you look at some other names from the peak, so Cypher also signed a big deal with a large hyperscaler, Google. Cypher signed a big deal with them, down 41% since that announcement. It's as if the deal didn't even happen. Supermicro, essential supply chain supplier for cooling, for liquid cooling, competitor to Dell in the liquid cooling space, down 6.5%. It really doesn't matter. Good earnings, bad earnings, everything is down. And I want to call your attention to especially these two. These stocks are stocks I like on this channel. I've covered them multiple times. CleanSpark, down 58% from that October 15 peak. 58%. Think about that. And then Mara. Think about Mara. Mara is down 55% since that peak. Mara had a 25 to 30% premium here. It was getting credit for its AI pivot, and now it's trading back at a 10% discount to its Bitcoin bag. Mara, I consider a deep value at these levels. The market is just dumping growth all over, This too shall pass, just so you know. This too will pass. This will pass. How many of these crises have I covered on this channel, by the way? I've been doing this for 3 years. YouTube sent me a happy anniversary of the channel the other day, an email. How many crises have we've had so many. I've covered so many. I feel like there's 2 weeks out of the year where all I do is these videos pointing out the absolute nonsense of the market. So let's continue the nonsense of the market. HIMSS, of course, continues the decline. October 15 seems to be the date where the flows started coming out. HIMSS has eerily similar outflows to something like a Mara or a CleanSpark. It's like totally similar outflows. It's as if the liquidity was being drained from the market. Look at HIMSS, down 46%. And they had an outstanding Q3. HIMSS halved essentially, and they had an outstanding Q3. And people who follow HIMSS like I do, we all agree that Q3 was outstanding. And by the way, Yemi and the CEO of HIMSS, they agree. That's why they approved a $250 million buyback. That buyback is going to be beneficial. Let's talk about Oscar. Oscar also down 40%, even though there is still a vote on the ACA subsidies in December, even though they have still said that they don't need the subsidies to be expanded to make a bunch of money in revenue growth next year. They've said that, but the market entirely ignores it and sells it off like every other stock. It's like NVIDIA still trades on China fear, even though NVIDIA keeps telling our guidance and our revenue is not dependent on China. We don't include China in anything we do. NVIDIA keeps saying that all the time. The market discounts it and think, oh, whenever there's news on China, NVIDIA moves. Same for Oscar. Oscar said multiple times they don't need the subsidies to be expanded. Yet, it's down 40%. And the last one, this one is actually up today, but not up nearly as much as what it should have been. RDT blowout quarter. Outstanding results that they reported. Yesterday, the stock was up more than 20%. you can see all of the after-hours gains from yesterday's were erased. They were erased even though they're doing so well. They're launching a third brand. Their third brand is going to be, overlapping a little bit with him. So they're launching a prescription brand. Companies firing on all cylinders. Oddity has been firing on all cylinders for a long time, and yet the stock just keeps dumping. Moral of the story is we can't catch a break, and I am afraid we will not catch a real break until we get Mr. or Mrs. Dove, why not, Mr. or Mrs. Dove, elected chair in May 2026. Chair of the Fed, Mr. or Mrs. Dove will mean the end of the Fed brutality. This was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you are entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.